Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. But today, I will be just combining all the other previous videos together and just fixing mistakes I made. More specifically, Angry Birds Transformers and Angry Birds Star Wars, because the music was slightly too loud, so... But I don't know about the Bad Piggies. I'm recording this before the Bad Piggies video came out, so... I don't know what to do about that. But I think it's fine, so... But this is just a rerun of all the other videos with some fixes for a couple parts. So if you do enjoy, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. The first piece of cut content for the Mighty Eagle is its first time to use screen. The screen is what would have appeared if the player clicked on the Mighty Eagle icon in the main menu, or the power-up shop. There is a roll of film with Mighty Eagle's eye, which, when clicked, led to the animation. Now, I'm not going to show the entire thing, because most likely you have seen it, because it has over 100 million views, but here's the last 30 seconds of the animation. Next is some feathers and an unused title. This features a notable detail, and that is that its original name for Angry Birds PC, which is Angry Birds HD, but it also has the name of the iPad version. The large feathers beneath the logo are feathers that replace the stars when using Mighty Eagle. The black feather on the right would fill up to the colored feather on the left, which would show how much Mighty Eagle was destroyed. The small feathers on the right are there for the menus. During the level selection, the black feather would appear to indicate that the Mighty Eagle was used for the level, and the colored feather would be under it to show how much Eagle score you got. The sardine would be used for Mighty Eagle to go diagonally after and then bounce off the screen, which destroys everything in its path. If any pigs are left alive, then it would self-destruct. Next are some sprites for Mighty Eagle. This is Mighty Eagle appearing and then attacking. Mighty Eagle is blurry because that's how it's supposed to appear in game. Next is the sounds for the Mighty Eagle, including its battle cry, the sound effect that plays right after it, and the Mighty Eagle hitting the ground. The image is shop new me bg.png. This was most likely used for the store. The last one for the Mighty Eagle is an Eagle demo level, which might have been used as a power-up tutorial. The Funk remix is James Bond-esque remix of the title screen music, found in a file named funkytheme.mp3, but it can be heard legitimately in mobile versions by getting 3 stars in all the Mighty Hoax levels, and finding the secret in the Angry Radio Golden Egg. Here is the first 30 seconds of it. Next are the title screen changes. The first one is changing the theme from the original theme to the Angry Birds Trilogy theme to celebrate Red's mighty feathers. This is the chapter that Red's finally got an ability. Afterwards, it was changed back to the original track. These icons were used in Angry Birds Friends. These include shop images and some placeholder graphics, just like the Mighty Eagle. It never came to the Angry Birds PC. I put these two together because I don't think there's no reason not to. Anyways, the old level complete was only used when you completed an episode. It was replaced with the ranking system in Angry Birds Rio, but there are still sound files left over. The early game complete was used in the first version of Angry Birds when the player completes the game, and like old complete was replaced by the ranking system in Angry Birds Rio. There is one sound, test sound, that is of an organ being played in the C minor note. First off, the Crystal button. This was used for Chinglingo's now dead service, Crystal SDK, which was used to track scores and put it on the leaderboard and also get achievements. The service was shut down on June 23rd, 2013. There are textures for fire blocks. There's also some for charred pigs and Firebird. The textures have some unused stuff like the play logo, some social media icons that only appear while using different languages. The ID card buttons are only used for the mobile versions. There's also the get the ad-free version, which goes unused because on PC there is no ads, but on mobile you can pay to get rid of them. Red tiny ribbon is present on iOS. Crystal icon, but smaller. The trophy icon is only present on iOS and may have been used for achievements. And finally, the blue button with hills changes to background and static colors is only used on mobile. The golden egg has the Intel logo engraved into it. An Angry Birds game was made to promote Intel, with some of the levels reappearing in the Android version of Angry Birds Seasons. The only way to play these levels is by replacing levels in the game or reactivating by editing the Lua files. There are 5 Intel Golden Eggs in total, featured in all of these 5 levels. Well, the first 5 birds and howl animations were used to hurt animations weren't. There was a bad Piggies promotion in the game. The sprite was supposed to be animated. Red's special is Red's Mighty Feathers only shows up in the tutorial but nowhere else. The sticky block was meant to make objects bounce off of it, but birds stick to it. There was also some unused blocks in the sprite box. There are some metal poles for some reason that were never used in the game. There's also an American football, which might have been used for Golden Egg number 22, as that egg is Super Bowl themed, but because this specific Golden Egg does not appear in game, it goes unused. There are 2 different types of terrain, which is used in the wooden stage and an ice rink. There's a sideways metal pole, which might have been used for a sideways flag, and finally there's an ice platform they use in Angry Seasons. And next is the sprite sheet, which also has unused stuff, like there being a golden item for the first 6 worlds in the game. There's also a puzzle piece which never appears, and finally for a sprite sheet, the retina display is supposed to be chrome. And finally is a golden egg with a star behind it, and Rio engraved into the egg. This would appear when you complete Golden Egg number 22, which would replace the star. The level complete screen was changed later on, therefore this goes unused. There are leftover achievement icons from the iOS versions of the game. This is the iPad font for Angry Birds and was used to display the level number when the game is paused. Metal Activity has files for their King Pig toy, which have been used kind of like telepods for Angry Birds Go, Stella, Star Wars, and Star Wars 2, and Transformers. The King Pig sprites are used for levels, successes, and failures. It would have been provided extra content for Angry Birds, but in newer versions of the game, they are lockable without the King Pig. The Rovio has Angry Birds HD free, but there are no signs, even in an unlicensed version of Angry Birds. And finally, there is the now dead Tunes.tv logo. Whenever you press this button now, it just redirects you to the official Angry Birds YouTube channel. Alright, the build settings and the debug console are in two different sections, but I put them together because they are similar. I will start off with the build settings, and once again I will be only going over the ones that still work and the ones that I find interesting. I will also skip any that has the question mark, as it is not 100% known. I will start off with the build settings. Release build, turning this off makes the game act like the debugging build, including adding the cheats. Cheats enabled. This one allows the use of developer cheats and is defaulted to false. Is premium. This makes the game act like the premium with no ads and false is defaulted. This has no effect on the PC version because there's already no ads. Is Korea. This one just changes it to the Korean version of Angry Birds. Apply Chinese restrictions. Makes the game act like the Chinese version and a timer is shown on the left. This is automatically false. Update check enabled. This check if you have the newest version of the game, defaulted to false. Use scaling. Toggle scaling settings. And finally, for the Windows Angry Birds is the debug console. A giant display of a black screen, which is called and hidden by Shift D. It is possible to edit the in-game flags and values for a session. This is also the same way as mobile. Using the F in the entry will close the debug when once it is entered. Also, using Mighty Bait in the entry will use Mighty Eagle without purchasing it. C will simulate a 3-star completion and a set score. Page up goes to the previous level, while page down goes to the next level and ignores the level lock restrictions. Control-Alt number will change the language, but using any language besides English or Japanese will crash the game. Backspace Q, W, E, R, T, Y, and U. Any of those will crash the game because it attempts to call the power-ups that aren't on the PC version. S toggles the sound off and on and off. Control F5 attempts to make a Lua file that contains the layout of the screen but crashes because there's no folder named layouts in the game's directory. But if you make a folder named layouts, then it works fine. Shift F12, toggle mouse cursor visibility. Shift C, this enables IAPS, but that doesn't work. Shift Z attempts to make a power-up bundle, but because there are no power-ups, it crashes. Shift X, this also crashes due to the game, due to it being a power-up slot machine. F toggles the visibility of FPS and memory display. And that's it for the Windows. Alright, now we got the PC version out of Angry Birds out of the way. We're going to move on to the Android version of Angry Birds. And then iOS, because that has a lot less. And I mean, like a ton less. Alright, anyways. First off is the old versions of the build settings, which is the same as PC, but the old versions are new. G challenged enables a unused challenge mode, which has not been fully activated yet. And G hatchery enabled is an unused mode which does not work because of missing files, but looking at the code, you can see that stars are going to be used as currency. Mighty Eagle and level select. If the build is not set to release build, and also has developer cheats, that there is a level named Mighty Eagle test levels, which will appear in the level select, and it was most likely used to test out the Mighty Eagle. And only that. When the level is selected, it's really choppy. The main menu has a QA button which freezes the game if the settings Lua file is incorrectly created, like data from the beta build of Angry Birds, but not in the final game. But other than that, there are some other options. The Display Force Update pop-up is the first one. It displays the Force Update pop-up to get the newest version of Angry Birds. Resets all settings, resets all status except for currency, Mighty League customizations, account ID, and power-up amounts. Open all levels. Well, that just opens all the levels. No star or for a save. And finally, add 100 gems, which adds 100 gems. Mighty Eagle developer cheats are next. And there's another QA button which shows things like skip tutorial, reset tutorial, fake day end, and add stars and add avatar. There are several more, but I will just move on. Mock video watching, who gives a reward for watching an ad without watching an ad. Instant win gives a rigged 3-star score. Call debug menu has the debug menu to appear as long as the game is responding. Save file corruption will show the error message. The file xxx.lua was corrupted, which shows that it was corrupted. So next up is the level editor. If the editor's value is set to true, then there is an editor button which will appear. It gives the player many options. The camera is also a lot more free than a normal level. The museum mode button will freeze the game when pressed. Attempting to beat or exit a level will also freeze the game due to the fact that write access is not enabled by the platform and it is slow on low-end devices. This next section is just poached eggs 1-1, with an early amount of items that were meant to appear until they changed it. Anyways, every file has counts, which contains how many objects are in one level. Most likely those unused as parts of this level has no appears. Alright, poached eggs 1-1. So, red in the earlier amount has 4, while the final has 3. There were 7 small pigs in the early amount, 2 medium pigs in the early amount, 1 large pig, 4 1x2 glass blocks, 5 1x4 glass blocks, 2x4, 1 2x4 glass block, 1x8 has 2 glass blocks, and 2 1x1 wood blocks, 8 1x2 wood blocks, 5 1x4 wood blocks, 5 1x8 wood blocks, 1 2x4 wood blocks, and then 1 2x2 wood blocks, and 5 2x4 stone blocks. There's also 1 4x4 stone ball and 5 2x2 stone balls. There's 1 treasure chest, 3 dice, 1 yellow pole, 1 red pole, 3 wood support 2, and wood support 3, there's only 1. Yeah, so there is a lot in the early version of the Angry Birds 1-1 alone, so I don't know about the other ones, but unused episodes. The Trick or Treat episode was reused for Angry Birds season, which is what I will be covering next, but Trick or Treat was meant to appear in the game. This was meant to be the 5th episode, instead of Ham 'em High's text. While the text and images were removed in the next update, which was update 1.4.0, it did come back most likely as a placeholder in version 1.4.3. There is also the Year of the Goat, which never came to the international releases of Angry Birds. It did make it to the Chinese version of Angry Birds. It has an icon and some sprites. And that's it for Android, so we're going to move on to iOS. This section is definitely the shortest section, and we'll end off the videos. The video, anyways, let's start. The only unused graphic is the Big Setup hard hat that was rewarded when beating the Big Setup, which is found in version 1.3.4. The older version is slightly darker and it only extends around the front, while the final version extends fully around the hat. The splash screen has been updated and revised several times since the start. In the gameplay trailer for version 1.0 for Angry Birds, there are also early ability icons in game, but it appears when a bird is on flight and hasn't hit something and has not used its ability, but disappears when the ability is activated or hits something. Stella does not work, but Stella isn't in the game, so and even with hacking, it refuses to load. Bubbles, unlike Stella, does work, but it's sadly useless because it does not have any birds or enemies, therefore the score will always be 0. The first unused graphic is for Prototype Bubbles, which looks completely different than of his final appearance. The Prototype Bubbles has green dots and a yellow belly. I personally think that the final Bubbles looks a lot better than the Prototype Bubbles, so that's just my opinion. But there is also an episode that is named Prototyping Episode, which is likely used to test levels before release, but also has the same graphic as the Mighty Eagle test levels from the last episode, so I think that they should reuse the graphic and put a different name on it. Poached Eggs, Mighty Hoax, Danger Above, The Big Setup are all leftover text from Angry Birds, the original Angry Birds, and they were the first 4 levels, so enable vibration, vibra on, vibra off, vibra. Leftover text from the iOS and Android versions. Angry Birds Seasons HD free, Angry Birds Seasons HD, Angry Birds Seasons free are all leftover from the iOS versions. And there's some text that says edit, which may have been remnants of an internal level editor. There's also one unused bird known as Bomb Bomb, which is kind of a mix of blues and bomb. It's like the blues because it splits into 3, but it's like bomb because it blows up. The only unused sound is the Willem scream, but with an echo. Version 1.5.1 has an unknown release of PC version on Nokia, and the known image is cropped. In version 2.0.0, the coming soon sign was removed when the full version came out. And version 2.1.0 improved sound and quality. In this game, I'll be going over all the debugging functions because there isn't much video. Cheat FTE. Cheat's first time experience. FTE obviously means first time experience. Facebook login details shows whether you logged into Facebook or not. And if you are, it says your first full name and the first letter of your last name in the top right corner. There are also a lot of empty buttons, so starting with the power-up shop, the first empty button gives the user the purchase without actual payment. This appears on Special Officers, Shockwave plus Telebird page, power-up page in the corner, and Mighty Eagle page in the middle. Downgrade allows the user to downgrade Shockwave or Telebird by 1 level. Hats, empty button, gives the user all hats for each bird for a collection for a session, and can toggle back to legal ownerships by current save data. Empty buttons grants the users the challenge to be successful without any proper actions. Empty buttons grants the user the episode challenge to be successful without any proper actions. Empty button 1 grants the user 5,000 points. And empty button 2 grants the user the opportunity to get the sling scope for 10 minutes by watching an ad. Pop-up will appear for activating the sling scope for 10 minutes for watching an ad. And an ad is watched. And clicking activate displays the message going by. No videos available. Since it's a cheap build though, it will enable the sling scope offer anyways. If there are no ads present, however, that's what would happen. Otherwise, it forces an ad to be watched for one. Instant win, touching the bottom left corner, even if the power-up icon is over top, multiple times will instantly beat the level with the exact score for a 3-star score. Elsewhere, ad simulation, it just simulates watching an ad, so you still get the exact same reward, but you don't have to watch an ad. All levels unlocked with no golden eggs unlocks all levels on every boot for a session, not a save. And call debug console calls the debug console as long as the game is responding. Now I'm gonna let past me, because I did this in the last video. I'm gonna let past me read the next part of the debug menu because I don't want to read it again. So C will simulate a 3-star completion and a set score. Page up goes to the previous level, while page down goes to the next level and ignores the level lock restrictions. Control-Alt number will change the language, but using any language besides English or Japanese will crash the game. Backspace Q, W, E, R, T, Y, and U. Any of those will crash the game because it attempts to call the power-ups that aren't on the PC version. S toggles the sound off and on and off. Control F5 attempts to make a Lua file that contains the layout of the screen but crashes because there's no folder named layouts in the game's directory. But if you make a folder named layouts, then it works fine. Shift F12, toggle mouse cursor visibility. Shift C, this enables IAPS, but that doesn't work. Shift Z attempts to make a power-up bundle, but because there are no power-ups, it crashes. Shift X, this also crashes due to the game, due to it being a power-up slot machine. F toggles the visibility of FPS and memory display. In the 2.0.0 version of Angry Birds Rio, it had a remix of the original Angry Birds. However, after Rio 2 came out, it was changed to match the film release and now has random lyrics.
Andorinha, araponga, albatroz, arara, azulão. Bigodinho, cacatua, curió, fragata, paisão. Daí volta, bico de roca, pistolinho, gavião. Granatina, galo da serra, Juriti, vertilhão. Saíra, pomba, canhaço, papagaio, bico virado.
There is one unused bird, and that is Shakira. These are sprites that are left in the files of the game of this bird. In a couple sprite sheets, there are orange-shaped hearts and a silhouette and tutorial sprite for her, which means that she might have had the same ability as Stella. There's an unused lemon and a soccer ball. In the Rio 2 section of Angry Birds Rio, it was originally planned for the birds to travel through different parts of Brazil, just like the movie. The birds would have traveled with a map. These also would have been a tribal rainforest, but it was too cartoonish and not real-like. the level was probably a beta version of Blossom River and Timble Tumble backgrounds. Once again, because there isn't much video, I will once again go through all the debugging again, but this time there isn't even as much debugging. FPS plus memory plus stack question mark display. If the game is not a release build on every boot up, the game will show a display for the status on the bottom corner. Debugging for the credits. If the game is not release build, it will show a customer string in the credits. There's a button that lists the 9 functions that can be done. Clear level progress just wipes the level function progress for a save, and clear achievements wipes achievements for a save. Lose makes the game act like you lose. 1 star gets a rigged amount instead of 2 or 3 stars. Image boxes. Pressing D will toggle visibility of boxes on the majority of textures. FPS plus memory display. Pressing F will toggle the visibility of the display. There's a level editor. The mobile release, however, lacks support for touch controls, so you can't really use it. So all you can do is zoom in and out, and it's similar to the computer versions of the game. Unlike Angry Birds Seasons, there's actually a couple of unused pieces of music, including Boss Test. Space level music. Space Stars 3. Now, Stars 3 is there because in the final game, instead of it being for every individual star, it's just one star. So. Angry Birds Space has a lot of unused sounds, so let's just begin. First off is Ambience 1 and Ambient 2. Next is World 1 Ambient. There are 4 sounds that have been related to a bird only known as black hole bird. There's also a Bird 6 Flying, which is a combination of Hal from the original Angry Birds and 2 bird idle sounds. This might have been used for Hal, who never appeared in the game. There are also some sounds which are left over from the original Angry Birds, which most likely uses placeholders. There's a ball bounce, a balloon popping, and TNT exploding. There are also unused sounds for the birds, including one that never appeared in game. All these birds have sounds for being selected and being launched. First off is sounds for red. The blues are up next and also have sounds for colliding with objects. Chuck is next and also has sounds for colliding with objects, but is the only bird to have unused sounds for using their ability. There are sounds for bomb, including colliding with objects. And Terrence does not have any sounds colliding with objects, so. It's just a regular 2. There are 2 birds that never appear in this game, but still have leftover sound effects. Those being Matilda and Hal. Both are never seen once. Here's Matilda. And here's Hal. In the Pig Dipper level, there are 2 pigs and 1 anchor that is hidden off-screen. The first unused bird is Black Hole Bird, which would have been strong against wood and would have sucked up pigs and blocks in a small radius for a short amount of time. This had unused sounds that we already covered in the unused sound sections. The idea of it may have been reused in a later update as the Space Egg. In the same version as Black Hole Bird, there's also data for a homing bird, which might have been an early version of Laser Bird, as when you tap the screen it acts like Laser Bird and also strong against wood like Laser Bird, so. And there's an unused graphic for a Galaxy Note on original level. This game also has unused text, but instead of the first 4 Angry Birds levels, there's 7. So Poached Eggs, Mighty Hoax, Danger Above, The Big Setup, Ham High, Mine and Dine, and Bird Day Party. And then the rest from the leftovers are unlock the full version for countless new levels and ads removed. The survival of the Angry Birds is at stake. Dish out revenge on the green pigs who stole the birds' eggs. Use the unique destructive powers of the Angry Birds to lay waste on the pigs' fortified castles. Angry Birds features hours of gameplay, challenging physics-based demolition, and lots of replay value. Each of the 105 levels require logic, skill, and brute force to crush the enemy. That was leftovers from Angry Birds. There's also a Nemo version of Angry Birds that has leftovers. And get it here! You already have the latest version. New update available. If you like, please rate it. Thanks. Right now. Remind me later. No thanks. Angry Birds Space HD. That's from leftovers from the iOS version. Next is some leftovers from the Android version. Visit Samsung Galaxy Note site. Special launch offer. Danger Zone levels now free on Samsung devices. Do you want to learn about Conversation of the Ocean and Ocean Elders? Do you want to learn more about Slash's new album, which might be in placeholder? Placeholder, message box text, and edit. There's an edit text like again, and then finally we have some more debug functions. So there's debug keys. Pressing 7 will zoom out the camera heavily, and red, and it will have some lines which define the camera view. Red, full camera view. White, current camera view. Yellow, length for the full camera distance. Green and pink is unknown what they do. F toggles visibility of the FPS display. And 8 draws hitboxes of objects not interacted yet. This excludes birds, though. The FPS display is shown on boot up. Pop-up messages are shown in game when the game creates save files, and the credits screen shows the SVN revision number. There's also developer cheats. Most cheat keys and assets are removed from the majority of releases. However, the Windows 8 version has a small number of them. With cheats enabled set to true, these are usable. C completes the level with a 3-star score. The quadruple click on the bottom left corner also works. 4 triggers a daily reward. Page down advances a level. Page up goes back a level. And G fails the level. A small cheat menu is visible on its main menu, very similar to the Angry Birds Star Wars menu, which we will be covering in a later video. All levels are unlocked with no stars. In-game, if the game is not set to release build, it will show a cog in the top middle. Touching it will show a menu with debugging functions. Reset resets the cooldown timer. Remove all power-ups, removes all power-ups from the saves. Special offer every time. Always get a free power-up when you're having 0. Restart gap. How many restart it takes to suggest using a power-up. And a default timer cooldown. First off is 2 Darth Vader sprites. The sprites were likely going to be used in level 2-40, in which you fight Darth Vader for a second time. These sprites do appear in merch though. They also appear in older versions of Angry Birds Star Wars. Next up is an unused world named Jabba Palace with a coming soon sign on it. And finally, in the final game, only Luke Skywalker has a 3rd level upgrade, but it was originally planned for all the birds to have 3rd level upgrades. The 3rd level upgrade that are green are Obi-Wan Kenobi's, Han Solo's, and Chewbacca's. This is an unused episode that most likely would have came right after Sky City, which was Jabba Palace. An episode I mentioned briefly in the unused graphics section. As I said in that section, there is a coming soon sign on the world image. This world most likely would have had a boss fight against Jabba the Hutt in the first cutscenes. Of the final 5th episode, Moon End of Endor was going to be used. It was also going to be used where the Rancer Pig would have been fought. Rancer Pig never appears but is referenced, and there's a toy of him, which is the first time and only time anyone saw what he looked like. It is unknown if the Jabba Palace would have used the same background as Sky City or a completely new background. The only remnant of the world is the unused world icon with the coming soon sign on it. Poached Eggs, Mighty Hoax, Danger Above, The Big Setup, Ham 'em High, Mine and Die, Birthday Party are the first 7 worlds of Angry Birds, the original Angry Birds, and you have unused text here once again. And here's the rest of the text. Golden eggs. Unlock the full version for countless new levels and ads removed. The survival of the Angry Birds is at stake. Dish out revenge on the green pigs who stole the birds' eggs. Use the unique destructive power of the Angry Birds to lay waste to the pigs' fortified castles. Angry Birds features hours of gameplay, challenging physics-based castle demolition, and lots of replay value. Each of the 105 levels require logic, skill, and brute force to crush the enemy. Protect wildlife or play Angry Birds. Get it here. You already have the latest version. New update available. From the Mamo version of Angry Birds. Angstroid Galaxy and Danger Zone. Those are from Angry Birds Space, and Edit it might be remnants of internal level editor. First off, we got some debug keys, which if really spelled to set to false, these are usable. 7 changes the view of the camera to be heavily zoomed out and certain lines to find the camera view. Red, full camera view. White, current camera view. Yellow, length of the camera, full camera distance. And green and pink is unknown LTD. F toggles visibility of the FPS display. And 8 draws hitboxes of objects not yet interacted. This excludes the birds though. Elsewhere, the FPS display is shown on boot up. Pop-up messages are shown when the game creates save files. The credit screen shows the SVN revision numbers of the game version. And the button is visible on the main menu. With cheats enabled set to true, these are usable for developer cheats. C completes the level with a 3-star score. You can also do a quadruple click in the bottom right corner to complete the level with 3-star score. Page down advances a level, page up goes back a level. G fails the level, and 1 has no idea what that does. So, the main menu, a cheat menu button, is visible in the top right corner with the below options, which I'm about to list. Activate most trophies, which activates most of the trophies for a save. 3-star all levels except 2 from each one open episode. It gets 3 stars for most levels. 100% Feather, all levels except for 2 from each episode. 100% Falcon Feather for most of the levels for a save, like it says. Open the first 25 levels, which unlocks with empty score for the first 25 levels for a save. Reset level progress, resets level progress for a save. Reset settings, resets settings for a save. Reset in-app purchases, resets the in-app purchases, and give 5 power-up of each. Which gives 5 of each power-up, except Mighty Falcons, and a much bigger amount for clones for a save. First off is Bomb. Bomb would have launched himself using the slingshot, and most likely would have been like TNT exploding. There are sprites that are not used there, but there are launch and defeat the sprites for him. Next up is a miner helmet that Ross would have worn somewhere. It might have been used in the road to El Porcado, as it is with the same accessory sheet as the Adventurer's hat, and there was no hat when Mechanic Pig's hat levels were released. It probably would have worked as the light, because Ross has a light to see in the cave levels of the road to El Porcado, but it was later replaced by the Adventurer's hat to give more of an adventure feeling. It also might have been an early version for the night vision goggles power-up, because both emit light. For the next 4 unused stuff, I'm just going to go rapid fire because it's the same sprite sheet, and the video is probably long enough by now. There's an injured pig in a box, which is likely a placeholder for a normal part. There's a Christmas spring, which is also a sprite for white and red custom parts. The reason why it's unused is unknown. There's an unused sprite for a green box, which is transparent and was likely an unused alien version of the wooden box, and there's a bit in cake for cake race. It goes unused for unknown reasons, probably would have worked like an icon. Next up is a monster wheel that was seen in version 1.4. The wheel itself can go through walls and other solid objects, and it can also make a vehicle bouncy. Using mods, you can restore the monster wheel. It was later removed in updates and never had any skins. And finally, there's a couple of unused Ross faces. In the files of the game, there are 2 unused faces for Ross. There's an alternate scared face and annoyed face. Compared to the other Ross faces, both of the faces are slightly larger than the used faces. The unused Ross faces also kind of looks like just the glitches in Bad Piggies. If you've ever seen Bad Piggies, you know what I'm talking about. There's just glitches where his eyes just kind of just disappear out of nowhere. To start off, part of in-game Atlas file has images for the record video and takes screenshots buttons, but they were unused. Next up is some achievement icons, which were used in the iOS version, but not in the Windows version. Next up is an ad for Angry Birds Tunes. And finally, there's a dummy texture, which is a checkboard pattern and says added terrain texture. Default fill texture also has the same image of this dummy image. This is also used in the Android version of Bad Piggies. A file named Tunes Transition has a transition for the Tunes.tv sound effect, but because Tunes.tv now goes unused in the PC version, and it does not exist anymore, instead of redirection to the official Angry Birds channel, it now goes unused. This is the final section of the video, and this is probably possibly the longest, so let's begin. Toggle game mode. Toggle between the cake race preview mode and none. Clear downloaded asset bundles. Deletes cached pictures from hidden loot crates downloaded online. Reset progress. Resets progress and generates a new save for everything except player level. 1-star all levels, which 1-stars all levels for a save. 3-star all levels but 1. 3 stars almost all the levels for a save. The excluded levels randomized each time. 3 stars, 3-star all, 3 stars all the levels for a save. Instead of just but 1, I don't know what that one's for. Sandbox, all star boxes, make status show 40 out of 40 stars collected for all sandboxes for the save. Unlimited sandbox parts adds 100x max cap of each resource to a save for all sandboxes. Set low/default target FPS forces the game to run at 25 FPS instead of 60 FPS like it normally is for a session. Can toggle back to 60 FPS later. Unlock all levels, which unlocks all or some if trial levels with a 0-star rating for a save. Restore IAPs, unlocks all one-time IAPs for a save. Reset IAPs, removes all one-time IAPs for a save. Add 10 auto builds, adds 10 super mechanics to a save. Add wooden crate, adds a wooden crate opening process to a save, can be used multiple times. Add metal crate is like the wooden crate, except it's a metal crate processing for opening process for a save. And same with the golden crate, instead of metal or wooden is golden. Add 10 glue, magnet, turbo, and night vision. Add 10 times of the super glue, magnets, turbochargers, and night vision power-ups to a save. Unlock all sandboxes, which unlocks all the sandboxes for a save. Unlock Field of Dreams, which unlocks Field of Dreams for a save without getting the IAP on it. Unlocks Little Pig Adventure, unlocks Little Pig Adventure for a save without spending snout coins. Unlock iOS full version, which has no effect on Android and is a leftover iOS debugging feature. Mimic 1.8.0 install version, game needs to be restarted. Tells the game to mimic installation of version 1.8.0 for the next boot. Unlocked and 3-star race exempt for the last 3 stars, but but the last cake race level for a save. Add some desserts. Add a portion of desserts for feeding King Pig for a save. Multiple uses grants more. Enable basic mechanic unlocks the premium mechanics for a save. Test forced update. You must relaunch the app manually. Tells the game to simulate a forced update installation on the next boot. Set forced update timer to 1 minute. You must relaunch the app manually. Tells the game the time in 1 minute to force the update on the next boot. Unlock all 3 levels. No effect on Android. It is technically the full version of the game with ads. Reset snout intro. Reset snout coins intro for a save. Add 1,000 snout coins. Adds 1,000 of them for a save. To a save. Add 100 scrap. Adds approximately 100 scrap to a save. Reset double reward. Resets the reward time for double rewards via ads while active. Add double reward time. Adds the 30-minute reward time for double ads via ads. Double rewards via ads. Consume double reward time 5 minutes. Consume 5 minutes of the reward time. Double rewards via ads while active. Unlocks all custom parts, which unlocks all custom vehicle parts for a save. Unlocks all common parts, all rare parts, all epic and all legendary parts, which are all vehicle parts. Unlock all craftable items, which unlocks all the craftable items. Reset workshop tutorial. Resets the tutorial for the FTUE at the scrap machine for a save. Reset craze pop-up. Crate craze pop-up. Reset the pop-up for the crate craze shop offer. New process purchases allows the game to use IAPs, can be toggled off but is defaulted on. Crash client crashes the game but does not work for some reason. Forced garbage collection forces the game to collect garbage for whatever that means. Schedule a notification 1 minute makes the game schedule a notification after 1 minute. Schedule a notification 1 minute in 30 seconds after makes the game schedule a notification for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Schedule notification 2 minutes does the same thing but for 2 minutes. Use faster notification schedule makes the game use a faster notification schedule, can be toggled back defaulted to real time. Clear player prefs and empties the content in the version 2 player prefs XML file. Ask about notifications again, make the game ask about turning on and off notifications. Get all but one customization. Unlocks almost all customizations, but just like the 3-star level being randomized, one of them is excluded. Level up to your level. Reset level to 1, changes your level value to 1, so level to 5, changes your level value to 5. Force local game configuration false, which requires a 3-star, forces the game to not use a local game configuration file in the next boot. Current cup, cake rakes, cup X, advance to the next cup. Advance to the next cup cannot be done with if the player level show also shows enable rank sheet. Enable rank sheet sets your player rank in the leaderboard of cake race maybe. Reset cup cheats, reset your cake race rank and leaderboard standing to original values. Generate test leaderboard, generate test cake race leaderboard where you can modify the amount and player rank. Clear test leaderboard. Remove the test leaderboard. Only shows if a test leaderboard is present. Reset alien machine. Makes the game go back to the original scrap machine for a save. Reset cake race unlock. Makes the game do the FTUE for unlocking cake race for a save. Skip cake race tutorial. Makes the game skip the tutorial for cake race for a save. And finally, back to main menu. This is the most important one of all, guys. It sends you back to the main menu. Because, once again, like I said, Angry Birds Star Wars doesn't have much unused content. I will be going over Angry Birds Star Wars 2, so which is a sequel to Angry Birds Star Wars, and let's begin with some unused characters. Alright, there are a couple of unused characters. First off is a Rebel Bird, who is in the sprite sheets. They would have probably have appeared in game, but they weren't used. A reason they were not used is because they had the same ability as the Jedi Younglings. And finally is Luke Skywalker. While he is in the final game, the original model from Angry Birds Star Wars is not used. Unlike, they have a completely different one. In the Telepod reveal trailer, it is using the original model. This may have been a placeholder though until they got the final model ready. There are only two unused objects, so let's begin. First is the Atlatl, which may have been thrown by Jar Jar Binks as his original ability in the movie. Because in the movie, the Gungans throw Atlatl. In the same Telepod trailer, there is an unused slingshot from the original Angry Birds. It was cut in favor of the lightsaber slingshots, which, in my opinion, looks a lot better. The first background was going to be used for the title screen, which is Cloud City at night with different buildings. And finally, the episode select, which looks a lot different than the final game. First of all, in the final game, there are more stars, and they are brighter than the beta. Also, the bonus are right after Escape to Tatooine, instead of being the very first. Also in the beta version, the buttons were smaller than the final. The plus sign on the coins and the coins themselves also look a little bit different. Also, all the walls are visible, as they are a bit smaller, like the complete... You can see the complete world, so unlike the final game, in the beta version. Also, there is no line in the middle to connect all the worlds together in the beta. Finally, the biggest change of them all is that the buttons to press play are completely different. First of all, the buttons don't have sign of their side in the beta version, and instead use the regular play button. Also, the buttons are in completely different positions in the final game. Anyways, with that done, let's move on to the next section. First off is the Battle Droid, who appears in Telepod trailers, and they are slightly different with green armor instead of skin. Finally is the Pod Racer, who is longer and is simplified design. To end off this episode, we're going to look at the debugging functions and the developer keys and stuff. So first off is the game build. Says it is released to the release build. The game will show an FPS counter on the bottom middle at the start of every boot up. If developer cheats are on the build settings, it is possible to use developer cheats. They primarily are at the menu, where a button in the top right corner is presented, loading a list with some options that are also key-based cheats, but they aren't possible to use on a mobile releases. So, the QA button loads a menu with the following options. Add 10,000 coins, which adds 10,000 coins to the save data. Add 5 of each character, which adds every 5 of each character that you can use. 3-star all levels except the last ones, which 3-star all levels except for the last few ones. 3-star first 6 levels, which does exactly that. And 3 stars current chapter, which 3 stars all the levels in the current chapter your save data is currently on. Camera pointer, unknown why is present, but it allows you to move the camera pointer. Exiting the menu resets it. Get all non-char achievements, get all achievements not relating to characters on your save data, and get all character achievements, which gets all the achievements, so. Open reward chapter in its level, unknown. reset level progress, resets the level progress, reset settings, resets the user settings save file, and resets in-app purchases, removes all ownership of in-app purchases of the user. This also includes points though. Clicking an option other than the close button will cause a red flash to happen. Carbonite melting. If developer cheats are enabled, every new carbonite defrosting period is always 1 minute instead of 8 hours. And in game, if developer cheats are on, every level will show a score value for a number of stars to acquire after getting that score, like 2, 25,000 for 2 stars, and 3 for 35,000 for 3 stars. It shows best alternative characters for levels and level code names internal file system. Multi-clicking the corner also wins the level with 3 stars. There's also a level editor, but due to the files aren't present in public release, it's not possible to load it. And finally, the internal project name was Crimson, so we're just gonna do Angry Birds Go because I like that better. So, alright, I'll once again combine 2 Angry Birds games to make a longer video. Anyways, to begin Angry Birds Go, it was already originally planned to have the player use any cart in any episode, although the carts don't really work well in the walls that they did not come from. Also, Angry Birds Go was supposed to come out on Halloween of 2013. First off, there are a couple of cart names. Originally, Bomb's Big Bang in the gameplay trailer was known as Explorer, and Foreman's Pigs, Green Baron, was originally Crimson Baron. The next Chocolate ability was a little bit different in the gameplay trailer. He would have turned into a missile instead of just speeding up. And finally, the cars selection is a little bit different. In early stage of development, instead of abilities, there were weapons, which were very similar to the item boxes from Mario Kart. Some of these weapons were probably going to be like Mario Kart. For example, the homing chicken, which I would imagine be like the red shell because it's a homing chicken. And Venus Flytrap would have probably been like the Piranha Plant power-up from Mario Kart. There are several more weapons, but here's a list of all the weapons. To start off, I'll be listing version 1 and then version 2. First off is Mechanic Dick, who was removed after a Halloween update in 2015. He was removed because of space limitations, but people weren't too happy that he was removed. His audio clips, though, can still be found in the game's files. Next up is Chronicler Pig, who was an old sprite model of Cinnabird, who also removed from the game. But we'll talk about him later. If you put Senna as of the current racer as version 1.8.2 and install any previous version as version 1.7.0, then when the game opens there will be a magenta racer. His ability is to hit opponents behind you. And doing this method will reset your races with Senna, and you can't get the helmet anymore. Finally is one item for version 2.0. The Azure Toolbox was featured in this version. but was later removed for an unknown reason in version 2.9.1. The first unused playable character is Minion Pig. There are complete icons for a Minion Pig for both the character select and the daily challenge. In version 2.0 and is on multiplayer team lists in version 1.0 of the game. Before version 1.13.9 as reserve drivers for players to replace them. There were also a lot of unused sounds for Minion Pigs, meaning that Rovio was likely planning for players to use Minion Pig. Minion Pig also uses the sound Foreman Pig's code. He also uses Red's ability icon for the ability icon outside of the race. However, none of this is coded. Version 1 has a similar icon. There were no animations programmed to use in any directories. Next up is Dealer Pig, who is mentioned in the script and is disabled. It partially uses the playable Minion Pig, but he is preferably based on and is just like the unused Minion Pig. It uses Red's ability icon outside of races. There are no playing icons or sounds for this character during a race or a showroom. The character is named Mustache Pig, and the icon outside of race is Mustache Pigs in the race avatar and is stretched out to fit. It is unknown what the name of the character is during a race. His ability is to have an instant explosion, but since the explosion has no ink boxes, it will not affect any opponents ever. The character also floats during races and in the showroom. Next up is Icebird. In September of 2018, on Twitter, Icebird was revealed to have been planned for a race or an England Go. Senna Bird is up next. Senna Bird is no longer available to play as a version 2, but most of the files for him are still in the game, but not all of the sounds are programmed to play. The only sounds he can play is showroom idle, pre-race, some race sounds, and win-lose sounds. The textures of Senna is also just like a black square, which most likely means that his textures are in the game's files. And they're not there. Also, his helmet is unused, but once again, also the map icon is missing. For some reason, the music that is used in Versus mode, which is known as the Big Stunt, was changed to a different piece of music. However, the Big Stunt is still in the game's files. Also, in every version of Angry Birds Go, there is a blank piece of audio for 1 second in the game's music assets folder called ABY Music Crash. Because it has such a vague name, it is unknown what it does, although it may have been used for another game mode. The first unused graphic is Rovio. When a Rovio logo is loaded up, when the game starts, the accident does not get used. It's possible, though, that Rovio is continuing pack assets of Angry Birds Transformers, which we will be covering later in this series, because that I've looked up the cutting room floor of that game, has tons of unused content, so look forward to that. Anyways, back to the video. As in that game of the exact graphic. Next up is a rainbow coin, which is oversized by a medium portion. Next up is a core, which features a checkerboard square with many dots, with red, bomb, chuck, and the blues, or just one of the blues. The checkerboard image is named dummy.png, which means that this is most likely a dummy image. It's possible that the birds were going to be used for their avatars, but it may have been rejected in favor of new avatars. Finally is a loading screen, which is an unused loading screen for single player. It is oversized by a decent portion. It is possible to load it by navigating to the new user screen and clicking go on an existing save file. Afterwards, the game will crash. The race theme music is known internally as ABY Music's Airy Peaks. Given the similarities in name, this might imply that the track was meant to play specifically on the air theme, as in airy, A-E-R-I-E. And that at one time the theme was called Airy Peaks. The Fruit Splat theme was also known internally as Music Cobalt, which was given the name because it's related to Rocky Road, and the theme, which refers to it as Cobalt Plateau. Rocky Road, sometime later in development, as the Time Boom Modes theme, is internally known as ABY Music Rocky Road. The theme heard in Mario and the Kart's menu is known internally as Music Django. It suggests the theme was made specifically for the Pirate Pig Attack minigame. It was later used for the kart menus. And the Versus music theme that replaced the stunt music, as we covered earlier, is known internally as ABY Music DLC 1, considering this track was played over preview footage for the Sub-Zero update, may imply that this track was specifically meant for the Sub-Zero update, and that was basically it. Text for content that you didn't get to use as the developer cheat menu is present. And there's a bunch of strings. I'll put them up on screen because it's a lot. I'll read some of some notable ones that I think are pretty cool. Your missions, your challenges, that one's pretty cool. Once again, Theme 1 and Theme 2 are both named as Cobalt Plateau, which was an early name for Seedway, and the next one's Rocky Roads. There's Theme 5, which might have been a placeholder for Sub-Zero. Capture the Crown may have been a removed mode. Pig was not used in the later versions. Opponent trashed. Scorecard destroyed. Alright. Not used in the later versions. Remaining health is not used in the later versions. Wind gap not used in the later versions. Alright. Double tap. Swipe up. Swipe down. Swipe left. Swipe right. swipe up and right, swipe up and left, swipe up diagonal, pull down, off, grid, both, no override, force off, force level 1, force level 2, force level 3, force superpowered, no driving assist, driving assist low, driving assist low mid, driving assist medium, driving assist medium high, and driving assist high. No braking assist, braking assist low, braking assist medium, braking assist high, regular brake, hand brake, tilt controls, on-screen joystick, fine, damaged, AI, player, hatch, saloon, 4x4, wireframe, solid, force high LOD, force medium LOD, force low LOD. On detailed with forward / right / up vectors. Those are all game executables that have these strings with some exclusive to the first version of Angry Birds Go. First off is the Beta Pillar, which originally had a mighty eagle instead of red, like the later versions of the game. Next up, the Beta Knight, which originally had a green feather instead of a red feather. And finally, the sprite that Red Shield used was not a curved line like the final game, but tiny shield circling around the birds. For whatever reason, 2 levels go unused, those being South Beach 3 and 4. These are 2 possible internal project names, which are Angry Birds Heroes and Angry Birds Heroes without a colon, because the acronym for it is ABH, so there are leftovers for the original cutscene. It is unknown and an unknown update is now a pre-rendered asset over the first cutscene. Both the triggers and textures for the original cutscene are still there. There are 2 different old game icons for Angry Birds Epic in the files. Because the arena is closed for an indefinite amount of time, the cheater stamp, which was used to identify cheaters, now go unused for the rest of time. There's an FPS display, which in versions less than 1.43, that it only appears that setting base game object set active false to base game object set active true, and FPS display start, and pressing F6 would enable them. However, the call for enabling them was stripped in later versions, making them impossible to load without moving the check for the F6 key if start. And in versions beyond 2.0.25241.4080, which mentions the developer code, also getting access to those above commands. A few messages referred to PlayStation or signing in. It was most likely relating to the PlayStation Network. These are also called PS4 main service that does not exist in the main game's assembly. The game goes for an autosave message that would normally only appear in console, was suggesting that possibly that a PS4 release was planned, but it ended up being scrapped later on, and we never got a PS4 release. Network failure message, which is like no PlayStation Network message. Startup.psn.popup.message. You have to be signed into PlayStation Network in order to be signed into playing Angry Birds Epic. startup.psn pop-up button, sign in, startup save indicator description, which Angry Birds Epic uses an auto-save feature. When you save this, please do not turn off your system, and startup load save indicator and saving, and it's just saving, like most games. There's also some development text, which cannot be seen in normal gameplay. Startup loading fake, which is loading fake data, which is related to a function to load fake data in the Unity editor. And toast error broken cutscene. And it says, "We are sorry, but an unexpected error occurred in the cutscene. It will be aborted and reloaded now." Alright, so every class has and bird has an internal class name, so let's just get right into it. Class Knight is the Knight class. The Class Guardian is the Guardian class. Class Samurai is the Samurai class. Class Paladin is the Paladin class. Class Avenger is the Avenger. Class Stone Guard is the Stone Guard class. For bonus classes, Class Ronin equals Ronin. Class Mage is Mage. Class Lightning Bird is Lightning Bird. Class Rainbird is Rainbird. Class Wizard is Wizard. Class Thunderbird is Thunderbird. And Class Illusionist is Illusionist. And then first word, the Nerd is the Archmage, which is kind of funny. Class Cleric, which is the Cleric. Class Druid, which is the Druid. Class Princess, which is the Princess. Class Priest, which is the Priest. Class Bard, which is the Bard. Class Witch is the Witch. And Class Moon Priest is Moon Priestess. So, Class Pirate is the Pirate. Class Cannoneer is the Cannoneer. Class Berserk is the Berserk class. Class Captain is the Captain class. Class Sea Dog is Sea Dog. Class Winter Fighter is Frost Savage. And for bonus classes, there are Corsair, which is the Corsair class. And finally, for the blues, the Trickster, Class Tricksters is the Tricksters. Class Rogues is the Rogues. Class Marksman is the Marksman. Class Spies is the Spies. Class Shulkers is the Shulkers. Class Treasure Hunters is the Treasure Hunters. And for bonus classes, Skin Elite Tricksters Legacy, which are the Legacy Tricksters. And finally, we got some developer test profiles. So let's just begin. In the game's assets directory and the folder profiles, there are 16 pre-made profiles with set status that only appear in the final release of the game. And profile normal level 80.bin is level 80. Snowling 14,557. Lucky coins 1,381. Friendship essence 5. Classes unlocked. Doesn't say. In-game player name RYZ. Keys acquired yellow and blue. Arena trophies, Platinum trophy of Season 10, and Stone Frame of Season 4. Friends, Michael Staff, Andres Kazig, Dominic Haisner, Siggy S. Chimera, Ushim Caspers, Nut, Goldbert, George Bayer, Steph Caruser, Max Walther, Marcus Walding, Roman Alexis, and Any, Boris Conrad Haser, Anna McDole, Hendrik Lesser, and Christopher Willman. Anvil level 1, Cauldron level 1, and Juice level 2. Hot Veggie Cake level 1, and Fruit Cake level 0 because it's still locked. Anyways, this one was definitely. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where today I'll be talking about Angry Birds Stella and Bad Piggies unused content to finish out this unused content Angry Birds series. Next week will be the mega video with some fixes from the previous videos. For example, there was Star Wars. The music was too loud in one part, and the Angry Birds Transformers, the music was also too loud. So since my Angry Birds Stella game is not working, I'm gonna have to do Angry Birds Epic as the background footage for the Angry Birds Stella part, so sorry about that. Anyways, let's begin with some Angry Birds Stella. First piece of unreleased content is the Telepods, in which a Telepod was supposed to be released in December of 2014 for a Spring Day costume for Poppy, but it never ended up releasing. While the art for the costume is finished, the related photograph is unfinished. Two other costumes for Luca are in the game's files. The first one is Luca wearing a black beanie, and the second one is Luca wearing a yellow afro wig, both of which are in the game's files still. There are also some telepods that have prototypes but no sprites in the game. They were seen in a display case in Toy Fair 2014. Next up are two worlds, the most famous one being Chapter 3, that has said for coming soon for at least 8 years now. Chapter 3 was likely inspired by Mine and Dine, a chapter that was in the original Angry Birds, and there was also Chapter 4, which would have been a circus, but both were scrapped when the game was discontinued. Next, we have some game graphics. There were critters, which were supposed to be in the game, but just like Chapter 3 and 4, it was scrapped because the game was discontinued. The critters did appear in Stella's Angry Birds animated series, Stella's Super Interactive Annual 2015 book on pages 42 and 43. Finally, some pigs and blocks go unused, those being Dino Pig, Ghost Pig, Chewing Gum Pig, Small Snail Pig, and Diva Pig, and a gearbox. To start off, we got an unused cutscene for Chapter 2, where some pigs are capturing clams and Stella drops in on them. And finally, there's an unused app icon. To end off Angry Birds Stella, let's talk about some debugging functions. There are debugging functions in the game. It's probably similar to the other Angry Birds games built with Lua, but unfortunately there are no functions requiring multiple corner clicks to skip the level. But everywhere is an FPS plus memory display, which is present. Menus, a back button is always displayed. Touching it appears to crash the game, possibly. And cutscenes block load values are shown. Also, possible to skip all cutscenes at any time, which is pretty nice. There are some lost and found items. There are some lost and found items that are unused and unfinished, such as the hang glider that appeared in Own Disguise, Stella's headset, a pig mask from a Halloween short movie, Lucas toys, a record player, Stella's Scott science kit, posters that were removed due to copyright infringement, whoopee cushions, etc. There is also an unused photo of Stella. There's an unfinished cutscene with a panel on the top right corner. And finally, there's an unused tutorial sprite for Stella and her friend. Alright. There is a ton. It takes up like most of the page. So, battle pass in the UI section, there's a battle pass. These are all stripped. Choose side, exit screen, prime pass, team name test, unclaim all rewards, claim all rewards, add level, and remove level. In character missions, there's a chance to win, which is also stripped. Day reward plus crate mission results. Plus crate/mission results. Advert boost debug, which allows you to watch a fake ad and get double the daily rewards. Alright, all these were stripped on the endless leaderboard. Do FTUE, clear profile, clear leagues, refresh data, end day, fake score, fake friends, skip next day, promoted, skip next day, remain, and Enter player name, debug wipe profile, clears the player's profile. Facebook login, debug text, which is unknown. Feature test. The screen provides a number in the middle that is your energy account. Add energy adds 1 energy. Spend energy spends 1 energy. And fill energy seems to crash the game, which may have been dummied. Gotcha. All these were stripped once again. Toggle award items. Toggle skip countdown. Toggle daily gotcha limit. Show maxed out text. Force rarity and forced item type. Now in game, we got debugging washing machine button, which is stripped. Debug stats window, a window for showing the debug stats in this format. The string can be points or score depending on the game mode. And for pause, debug enable panel was stripped. Debug menu was stripped. Restart restarts the level and heals the transformer. Autocomplete was dummied. All in-game music and returns to the game. Exit exits the level without keeping damage on the used character. Metrics is unknown what it does, and screen slows the debug menu. On the map, there's a lot of stuff, so debug loads the debug menu, show is stripped, hide the debug menu and all debugging content for the session. Dev load the developer menu, see above a button. Live event timer stripped. When choosing an event, emulate play button emulates an event, empty square. Terraform unknown, toggle tier unknown. World ++ increases the world marker by 1. World - decreases the world marker by 1. Event ++ increases the event marker by 1. Same with event - but it does the opposite. Seed ++ adds a mark, increases the seed marker by 1. Seed - decreases the seed marker by 1 by -1. Index - decreases the index marker by 1, and index ++ increases the index marker by 1. Rarity is unknown, and emulate boss play button is unknown. In Dr. Pig Lab, there's 3 monitors with associated textures, and was probably stripped. For quests, it's new, generate new quests, and complete all the quests. Pop-up gotcha upsell, debug text unknown. In the silo, material adds 1 material, empty rectangle. This is near any of the resources. You cannot go beyond limits. Upgrade, located on the bottom of the pop-up, is a button that says upgrade to silo. Going beyond level 25 will reset it back to level 1. This also accesses the silo's resources a bit after the upgrade trigger. But oddly, this function spends coins and resources, so if you don't have that, then you can't use it. So fill maxes the silo's resources located on the bottom of the pop-up, and clear does the opposite. Shockwave Spire, toggle reward item stripped. Skip 5 forward stripped. Show reward background stripped. Get stuff now stripped. Exit screen stripped. Pause flow stripped. Show Vignette stripped. Show tooltips stripped. Pause stripped. Way to end stripped. Proceed stripped. This weird face thing is stripped. Speed out equals 100% is stripped. Plus equals stripped. 1 is stripped. 0% is stripped. The weird face thing again is stripped. 0 is stripped. Card is stripped. Weird face thing is back and is stripped still. Offset X equals 0 is stripped. Offset Y equals 0 is stripped. And finally, ignore factor is stripped. In the shop, there's debug offer, which is stripped. Debug time advance is stripped. And debug live time lapse start stop is stripped. In the splash, debug Facebook button is unknown. And debug cloud saves is unknown. The telepods, debug scan a cog wheel button that simulates a successful fan can scan of any telepod chosen. Choosing none will crash the game. Token shop, add remove tokens is stripped. And for the debug menu, this menu allows you to select any screen in the game, and if the files are present, it has calling the library, and XML files. Metrics seems to crash the game. Cycle locks changes the languages local for a session. You cannot change back to the default one for a session due to the fact that it changes the same language both text format. The current value displays the current. Back returns to the map. After choosing a screen, an overlay exists with the following options. Reload, no effect, the function is probably dumbing out. Back to debug goes back to the debug menu. And the developer cheat menu. A developer cheat menu is also present in game's files and library. It can do many things in the game's files. It's referred to as cheat screen, most likely meaning the developer cheat screen. Add currency, add 10,000 of each currency to your save. This excludes the bat pigs, plasma, and tokens. The use of this is also capped out with coins and sparks at 1 million, and gem pigs at 100,000. Reset data wipes most of your data. You may modify the beginning values for a new save before the next boot after. Live event. Change the local live event. Change mode changes the very right column to load game data defaulted to event. Event definition files. Procedural automatic generation of level data. Cutscene is cutscene files. And layout is level layout files. The buddy table is changed to tiles to load tile definitions. Debug menu has no known effect. Unlock characters unlocks all locked characters at level 1 for a save. Unreleased characters are also locked this way. Reset live event resets the local live event. Show version info shows various info in the hardware. The extra string in the data version is an Angry Birds group ID. Lock unlocks a transformer for a save with its accessories and leveled, but does not add or remove a containment unit for them on the map. Changes to unlock if a transformer is locked. Unlocking transformers early can mess up the achievement status for them. You may also manage unreleased characters this way. Clear X accessories /IES. Remove all accessories from a character. Character level X shows character level. Level has up and down arrows to alter. Often capped at 25. Unreleased characters are normally capped at level 15 for some reason. Enter folder views the event directory at the pack system file system. Default is from xml.pack, and other directories are in events/live events from XML. Additional packs. This changes to play when a file is selected. Only select XML files and not XML.meta files is to avoid crash. Changes and revisions. Some update added up and down arrows for toggling live events separately in clockwise and counterclockwise orders. Due to this, the live event button has no longer an effect when tapped, but is still clickable, however. It is now used to display for the event. Difficulty scaling setting was added to procedural add. Unlock characters can now be toggled rather than one click. Feature configuration accessible from the settings screen is allowing you to toggle the use of these in-game features for next boot up. Elite enemies makes the game use elite enemies defaulted as off. Alternate event flow allows you to choose characters for events. Autofire AI uses buttons. The Autofire AI can use buttons. Character promotion / prestige. Characters can promote. Signposting allows you to maybe signpost. Force release live events. Forces release of live events. Enable Spark Run allows Spark Run to be done. And instant events spawn before Soundwave. Django for gems and money. Refresh label, post event pop up, double rewards for gems, regional ads, expanded shop, snapshots enabled, rate game pop up, allow seasonal content, China miscellaneous settings is crashes. That one crashes. Minicon level based on rarity, Shockwave Spire, buy item after gem IAP, Combiner Run, and wait. And War for Cyberton Spire, all are unknown what they do. So with that, let's go with the rest. Character buy for gems allows you to buy characters in the barracks for gems, enabled in the Chinese version, but it still works fine in the worldwide version. Instant character repair. It immediately repairs the Transformers after payment, enabled in the Chinese version, but still works fine in the worldwide version. Max upgrade allows you to upgrade Transformers in the barracks to a maximum level for a singular payment of 1,500 gems. Once again, it's enabled in the Chinese version, but still works fine internationally. Jenga with code allows you to use codes to unlock Jenga. Silo upgrade allows you to upgrade a silo. Toons TV, as you probably know, was removed. And it just leads you right directly to the official Angry Birds channel right now. So, Buddy Boost for gems allows you to boost buddies for 2 gems, granting them 5 seconds of active time, which is enabled in the Chinese version but still works in the worldwide. Soundtrack invert uses the soundtrack advert disabled in the Chinese version. Silo advert uses the video offering the silo disabled in the Chinese version. Buy regions makes you pay for coins to explore regions enabled in Chinese/legacy versions, but does not work in the worldwide versions. Starter bundle shows a starter bundle on the boot up, enabled in Chinese, but still works fine worldwide. Use China textures crashes on the worldwide version. Restore purchases toggles visibility of the restore purchase button, disabled in the Chinese version. Use reduced setting menu. Use the smaller side up settings menus enabled in the Chinese version. Telepods toggle to use the telepods, disabled in the Chinese version. Map accessory button shows a button on the map to open the accessory shop, enabled in the Chinese version, but still works fine worldwide version. Accessory character arrows shows arrows in the accessory shop to change character targets. Facebook enabled shows the Facebook button. Platform enabled shows the platform specific buttons. And like I said, China miscellaneous settings crashes on the worldwide version. Alright, now that took up a lot of the video, and there's still going to be a lot more. But here's a new section. Internal character names. Alright, there's a lot of these once again, but it's a lot less than the debugging, which takes up most of the page. First off, we got Optimus Red, which is read as Optimus Prime. Bumblebee Chuck, which is Bumblebee as Chuck. Soundwave, Chef Pig as Soundwave. Bludgeon, King Pig as Bludgeon. Heatwave, Terrence as Heatwave. Lockdown, Mustache Pig as Lockdown. Ultra Magnus, Red as Ultra Magnus. Galvatron, Corporal Pig as Galvatron. Sound Blaster, Chef Pig as Sound Blaster. Sentinel Prime, which is Terrence as Sentinel Prime. Thundercracker is Minion Pig as Thundercracker. Jazz is Bubbles as Jazz. Soundwave is Chef Pig as Soundwave. Brawl is King Pig as Brawl. Grimlock is Howl as Grimlock. Starscream is Minion Pig as Energon Starscream. Soundwave Energon is Chef Pig as Energon Soundwave. Grimlock Energon is Howl as Energon Grimlock. Lockdown Energon is Mustache Pig as Energon Lockdown. Galvatron Energon is Corporal Pig as Energon Galvatron. Optimus Red Energon is Red as Energon Optimus Prime. Megapork Ultimate, which is King Pig as Ultimate Megatron. And Optimus Red Ultimate is Red as Ultimate Optimus Prime. Bumble Chuck High Octane is Chuck as High Octane Bumblebee. Grimlock Goldbite is Hal as Goldbite Grimlock. Megapork is King Pig as Dark Megatron. RC is Stella as RC. Aria Chinid is Stella as that. Ratchet is Terrence as Ratchet. Blue Streak is the Blues as Blue Streak. Namius Prime is Red as Namius Prime. Acid Storm is Minion Pig as Acid Storm. Epic Optimus is Red as Epic Optimus. Bumble Chuck Fire is Chuck as Rodimus. Shockwave is King Pig as Shockwave. Prowl is the Blues as Prowl. Hot Rod is Chuck as Rodimus. Ricochet is Bomb as Ricochet. Dead End is Mustache Pig as Dead End. Drift is Bomb as Drift. Windblade is Silver as Windblade. Skywarp is Minion Pig as Skywarp. G1 Starscream is Minion Pig as Starscream. Sunstorm is Minion Pig as Stonestorm. Wheeljack is Bomb as Wheeljack. Smokescreen, the Blues as Smokescreen. Chromia as Stella as Chromia. Blaster is Bubbles as Blaster. Tripixion is Hal as that. Scorponok is Corporal Pig as Scorponok. Barricade is Mustache Pig as Barricade. Sideswipe is Bubbles as Sideswipe. Energon Windblade is Silver as Energon Windblade. Nautica is Matilda as Nautica. Red Alert is Bubbles as Red Alert. Energon Shockwave is King Pig as Energon Shockwave. Energon Nautica is Matilda as Energon Nautica. Hound is Terrence as Hound. Alita is Silver as Alita 1. Sunstreaker is Bubbles as Sunstreaker. Strong Arm is Silver as Strong Arm. Energon Windblade is Minion Pig as Energon Windblade. Motor Master is Mustache Pig as Motor Master. Beachcomber is the Blues as Beachcomber. Energon Megatron is King Pig as Energon Megatron. Cliff Jumper is Chuck as Cliff Jumper. Moon Racer is Stella as Moon Racer. Energon Bumblebee is Chuck as Energon Bumblebee. Nemesis Hot Rod is Chuck as Nemesis Hot Rod. Nova Star Stella as Nova Star. Classic Bumblebee Chuck on Classic Bumblebee. Ironhide is Terrence as Ironhide. Mirage is Bubbles as Mirage. Alpha Trion is Mighty Eagles as Alpha Trion. Breakdown is Chef Pig as Breakdown. Grapple is Bomb as Grapple. Superion is Terrence as Superion. Dragstrip is Bubbles as Dragstrip. Devastator is Minion Pig as Devastator. And finally, Greenlight is Stella as Greenlight. If an unexpected character icon is missing in the game's files, a ball of purple and pink squares will replace it. This could happen when using unreleased characters with the same partner from using the developer menu. And if there are unexpected textures missing, it will show the game's logo instead. Anyways, we got to the final part, which is unused textures. There's 47 just alone of just like concept art, basically. Just textures. Well, I'll go do it as fast as possible, but a test cutscene is present in the first iOS release. The texture was removed from later versions of the game, but the script still exists. And that's for the test cutscene. Unfinished cutscenes is next, and there's a ton. Like I said, there's 47. They were probably replaced with proper textures later on, but they remained as placeholders. They were most likely placeholders. So, a sketch of the first cutscene, which was removed from later releases, compared to the test cutscene. Another sketch is below. This one is entirely hand drawn, where its layout matches your ongoing game cutscene. A sketch of the cutscene introducing flying pigs. A sketch of Bumblebee's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Soundwave's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Heatwave's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Lockdown's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of the cutscene introducing the ability to use partners in events, which was removed from later releases. A sketch from the cutscene introducing the ability to use Energon in events. A sketch of Ultra Magnus cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch for Sound Blaster's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch for Galvatron's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch for Sentinel Prime's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch for the cutscene introducing the ability to chase the Eggbot in intercepted events, later removed from other releases. A sketch of Jazz's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Thundercracker's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Brawl's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Grimlock's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Energon Starscream's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Energon Grimlock's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Energon Soundwave's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Energon Galvatron's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Energon Optimus Prime's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Goldbite Grimlock's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Ultimate Optimus Prime's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of High Octane's Bumblebee cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Dark Megatron's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Blue Street's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Drift's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Shockwave's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Nemesis Optimus Prime's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Wheeljack's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Acid Storm's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Ratchet's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Gold Optimus Prime's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Inferno Bumblebee's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Arcee's cutscene for unlocking him. Or her. A sketch of Legion's cutscene for unlocking him. A sketch of Question Mark's cutscene is unlocking for him. And then finally, a sketch of Blue Streak's cutscene for unlocking him. No, I wasn't correct, no. Alright, no. A sketch of Energon's Lockdown's cutscene for unlocking him. This one is unknown. This one is also unknown. This is also the same for Cutscene 44 Energon Shield, Cutscene 45 Energon Airstrike, and Cutscene 46 Jenga Instructions. Alright, we're almost to the end. Break and Boost, placeholder icons for actions known as Break and Boost. Height Map, which is simply just a height map. Astro Train Override Test, simply the Angry Birds Go logo for promotions, but with test blasted over it. Another one for sponsors exists. Power Save, 2 textures for a setting on page 2 named Power Save are present, unused. Rough images of the buttons look as they appear. Buttons in the settings screens are here.